And welcome back to the Lolley-Carter Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, here with my friend and co-host, Dale Lolley, breaking things down for you on your Pittsburgh Steelers, getting you ready for some Sunday night football as they take on the Seattle Seahawks at Heinz Field this Sunday night. Dale, how you doing, my man, going through all this week?
I'm doing. We'll see how the Steelers get through this week, but it's they're getting healthier, which is a big deal. We'll see. If they can be relatively healthy going into their bye, that would be a good thing, right?
Would be a good thing. And I wanted to talk to you about the balance of that offense, because there's a lot of rockiness to how this offense was ever going to find balance, even back into week one. We talked about the run game, the offensive line, and Ben Roethlisberger, and then the struggles they've had. And now JuJu Smith-Schuster is most likely out for the season. And we're talking about Zach Banner coming back in, but the offensive line just had its best performance of the year. There's a lot of different things that go into just the day-to-day, hey, what do we got to do with this offense to make it the formula building forward? But my thing is, Dale, when you don't have the set offense that has 3 Pro Bowlers on its offensive line, the best receiver in football, the best running back in football, a franchise legendary quarterback in his prime, like they were back in 2016, 2017, in those years, sometimes you do got to go week to week and just figuring out, hey, who's the hot hand? Who's doing well? What do we want to base ourselves in? And what are the trends that our team is going through? But that's just something you got to do, right? Or is that me being way too short-sighted about the situation?
Well, I think what they want to be is a team that is centered around running back Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
That's the long and short of it. I mean, yeah, you have weapons on the outside. You'd like to use those. But as we heard throughout the offseason, starting with Mike Tomlin at the end of last year, then Art Rooney, Kevin Colbert, we've got to run the football better. Well, they spent a first round draft pick on Najee Harris, so it finally came to some fruition last week. They finally went to the run and stuck with the run, not just running it on first down. I think they ran on 14 of their 19 first downs in the game, which is ridiculous. So it shows, that they didn't care if Denver knew it was coming or not. They were going to do it. But then they also followed that up by running on second down a lot of the times too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a much bigger commitment to it. That's kind of what you have to do if you want to run the football. You can't run the football better by not running the football.
Right.
That was the problem in the first month of the season. Well, I think they found maybe a little bit of a recipe last week. Hey, we're going to run the football. And we don't care if you stop it every once in a while. And I think, Denver only had one tackle for a loss on Najee Harris. The others were all on Kalen Ballage and Benny Snell. But, they just said, we're going to run the football here. We're going to, Harris had 23 carries and he barely played in the fourth quarter. He was on pace for a 30-carry game. Is that too much? I know a lot of fans look at it and say, well, that's, he's carrying too heavy a workload. He's playing too many snaps, all that kind of stuff. He's built for that.
Yeah.
He's built to be a feature back in the NFL. He's built to be a guy who handles a heavy workload, and he just keeps getting better. I wrote about it today on the website. He's 10th in the league in total yards. He's 14th overall in rushing, and he basically did very little in the first month of the season until last week. His season high total before last week was 64 yards. We nearly doubled that last week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they want to be. He's an adept pass catcher. People say, well, how do you replace JuJu Smith-Schuster? Well,
it just so happens we drafted this guy.
you run the football a little bit more, and you also use him more as a receiver. You mentioned Zach Banner coming back. I'm more inclined to think that maybe even you might see Anthony McFarland be a bigger get back than Zach Banner. They've got linemen.
Yeah.
What they don't have right now is a complimentary back to Najee Harris.
They don't. Kalen Ballage and Benny Snell, when they were in there,
they're not it.
They looked like they weren't going to contribute a single thing. Anthony McFarland, if nothing else, is a speed boost in this offense.
He's nothing like the other guys.
Yeah.
And as we saw in training camp, Chris, they had a plan coming into this season to use both of those guys on the field together.
Mm.
We saw that quite a bit in training camp, formations with both Harris and McFarland on the field. You can put Anthony McFarland in the slot and use him as that jet sweep guy. You can put Anthony McFarland in the backfield and now split Najee Harris out and put him in the slot and create some issues for defenses. It's all about stressing a defense. I don't care how you get it done in terms of scoring points and winning football games. Just that you find a way to get it done. That's all that really matters.
And again, you don't care how you get it done. It can come from several different spots. Like a lot of people look at the JuJu injury and say, "Oh, James Washington, he could be the guy." Well, you got to remember also they drafted Pat Freiermuth, and yes, he hasn't been a major target so far. Eric Ebron's in the fold, but he's seeing even less snaps than Zach Gentry in some games. But I wanted to get your thoughts. How much can the tight ends be counted on in this situation to say, and again, not saying like one of them is going to get 10 targets in a game, but to take away, hey, JuJu was a middle of the field kind of guy for Ben Roethlisberger. Tight ends normally line up in the middle of the field. Is that something that you think can add to this balance that's figuring out what this offense is going to be for the rest of the season?
Yeah, and I think where they really, might miss JuJu the most. I mean, they can replicate the rest of that stuff, the catches and the physicality over the middle with the tight ends, as you mentioned, with the running backs, that kind of stuff. But as an extra blocker, that's the one that Chase Claypool coming out of college. You watched the college tape and you saw him blocking, college defensive backs into the, through the end zone and things of that nature. Well, where's that been at?
Yeah.
I want to see him develop as a blocker. I think that the gauntlet has kind of been laid down here. Like, look, first play of the game last week, as I laid out earlier this week on the site, you see JuJu and on the wing and then leading Najee Harris through the hole.
Yeah.
How many receivers do that?
Not many.
Not many. And that's all about desire and want to. And Matt Canada addressed that when we talked to him on Thursday. He said, a lot of times when we'd come up with something like that, JuJu would just say, "Yeah, I'll do that. Or I'll do that. I'll block that guy. I'll do this. I'll do that." That's where you maybe miss him. We'll see how much that's rubbed off on the other guys. They need to step up. Again, Claypool's a guy that's 6'4", 238 pounds.
He has the build.
He should be a blocker. I realize he's dealing with a hamstring issue. But the time is to step up there. You need to win games. As Keith Butler said on Thursday, it's not hard to sell these guys on getting up for this game, regardless of who's at quarterback, because we're 2-3.
Yeah.
It's not like we're 5-1 or anything like that. When you're a 2-3 football team, you have to do what's necessary to win football games.
No, I agree. And that's where I think that, the sense of urgency definitely is going to be there for the Steelers. And again, to your point, because I know some people are probably thinking, like, if they read Carter's Classroom, one of the plays that I featured on Najee Harris's 18-yard run against the Broncos, there was a play where Cody White, kind of turned up out of the bunch formation, blocked the guy in the hole, even knocked him over, and it opened up a seam for Najee Harris.
That's why they like that kid.
It's why they like him, because he had a big drop later in the game. It was just like,
but he's a dirty work kind of guy. He comes out of Michigan State. They didn't throw the ball a lot. He didn't have a bunch of college stats. But he's a dirty work kind of guy, and guys like that will have a role with this team.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, you can be not the best out of your breaks, and you can have maybe not the shortest hands, but if you help on special teams and you block in the run game, they're going to find ways to use you. And it's going to be really interesting to see how, and again, Mike Tomlin, whenever we talk to him, Dale, he has his catchphrases, and one of them, one of the terms I love, is like the division of labor and how we use it and how they deploy their guys. That's the kind of stuff that goes into it, is that JuJu would give you the slot route runner that could break open in the middle of the field and give you that. But he also gave you the guys you can line up in a bunch formation, say, hey, your assignment this play is to crush that linebacker. And he would go crush that linebacker. And that was something he did. Now with Cody White, it's like, okay, you can do the crush a linebacker role, but might not trust you to be Ben's security blanket on this third down play. So that's part of the equation that Matt Canada, Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Tomlin, all those guys have to sit down and say, okay, who are our guys that we realign in these situations? But that, I think, is going to be a lot of the fun watching this team and seeing how they want to use this offense. And again, could be a week-to-week basis. It's like, hey, 1 week we think it's going to be this guy based on this matchup. Maybe Gregory McLeod, he's too quick for this guy. Or maybe like, you know what? The guy in their slot, he's going to be quicker. Let's get a bigger guy, Chase Claypool, James Washington, get guys like that over the middle. I really think that we could be looking at a situation with the Steelers offense where it's more like based off per matchup than necessarily saying, you know what, because we have this one guy we trust, we're going to give him all these roles.
Yeah, I mean, necessity is the mother of invention, and the Steelers are in a situation where they need to be a little more inventive. So we'll see where that goes.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's our picks, week 6. We're going to get it in here on the Lolley-Carter Steelers podcast. Chris Carter here with Dale Lolley. Stay tuned. Be right back. Back here on the Lolley-Carter Steelers podcast. I'm Chris Carter here with Dale Lolley, continuing our show here. Remember, if you're listening to the show and you're enjoying it, please subscribe to the DKPittsburghSports.com's podcast platform. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are hosted. You don't just get this show, but you get my H2P podcast. You get all the DK Daily Shots. You get the Yins Hers podcast, the Mad Chad and Eddie podcast, the Around the 412 podcast. You get all of the great content that we produce daily on this network. So, and it's all for free right to your mobile device or your laptop. Let's get into the picks here, Dale. Now, Dale, we always talk trash every week. I have no idea who we picked last week anymore. Like it runs week to week, and I'm like,
all I know is that I won.
Yeah, exactly. You say that, and I'm like, I won, and then we're gonna
I know I did. I do some picks in the for the Observer Reporter still.
Okay.
And I was 5-0 in those picks. So.
Oh, great. So because you're 5-0 in those picks, you have no idea if those are the picks that we had exactly the same. You definitely beat me.
I know I took the Chargers over the.
I did too. We both took the Chargers.
You took the Bengals though.
I took the Bengals.
You took the Bengals over the Packers, yeah.
I did not. Now you lie. See, I was like, who did the Bengals even play? And I looked at them and I was like, no. See, this is why you can't be trusted, because you say things like this. Anyways, I hope someone out there is tracking us, because I have not had the time to tally all of our picks. But if you listen to these, this is how you feel, how we actually come out on our picks. All right. First, let's get the irrelevant game of the week out of here. It's South Florida, just going at it. Miami at Jacksonville. Who cares? I'm picking the Dolphins just because.
That's an interesting one because Jacoby Brissett's been messing. He's had some injury issues with a hamstring. Tua Tagovailoa is not ready to come back yet. I think Xavier Howard is also potentially out of this game. I'm going to take a stunner here. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Urban Meyer gets his first win.
They break their 20-game losing streak and win a game.
Jeez.
I'm going with the Jaguars.
20 games.
James Robinson gives them a running game.
He does. I do like James Robinson. I said
they're in a better place right now than the Dolphins are. They just are. Like John Gruden took all the pressure off of Urban Meyer. Am I wrong?
Urban Meyer's like, thank you, John Gruden.
Am I wrong? Like nobody's talking about Urban Meyer anymore.
Like the whole and it couldn't have come at a just last week. We were talking, man, that situation at the bar, and he didn't fly back with the team, and this is a disgrace. And should Shad Khan fire this guy now? And now it's all about John Gruden and his emails and all the things. Oh my goodness. You know what? That's kind of funny. I'm sticking with the Dolphins, but that would be so funny for them to win and just be and remind me. See, I'm perfectly fine. Don't fire me. Oh man, that the way the NFL works sometimes, man. Anyways, this is a potential game of the week matchup right here. 4-1 Chargers at 4-1 Ravens. I'm going with the Chargers again. I know they gave a lot of points to the Browns, but the Ravens have been winning on some very emotional, very down.
Been some fluky stuff.
Right. And hey, but sometimes, luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. Oftentimes they've come through in those moments. I just think the Chargers are going to have their week where it doesn't all roll in the Ravens' favor.
Yeah, I like the Chargers in this one as well. Their secondary won't give up the passing yards that you saw them the Ravens get last week against Indianapolis. And don't forget, the Colts took them to overtime. The Ravens had a furious comeback in that one. They got a little banged up as well. I like the Chargers.
Moving along, 2-3 Vikings at 3-2 Panthers. Panthers suffered a tough loss last week. There's a lot of people trying to buy in on Sam Darnold real early, Dale. I'm not buying in on Sam Darnold, but I do think the Panthers can win this game.
Yeah, I think their defense handles that one. And the who plays running back this week for the Vikings? I don't know.
I heard Dalvin Cook might be back, but it's tough. I have him in a fantasy league, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I'm going with Carolina.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. Packers at Bears, 4-1 at 3-2. Bears had an upset last week over the Raiders in the middle of all that catastrophe. I don't think the Bears repeat it, though. The Packers win, but I do think the Bears are on their way to showing you, Dale, that you were getting way too down on them way too early.
They've got 3 of their 5 wins this year. Let's not get carried away. Yeah, that was more about the Raiders reverting to Raiderism last week than anything else. I'm going with the Pack.
Same here. Bengals at Lions. Now, 3-2 Bengals at 0-5 Lions. Bengals, they suffered a tough loss at the Packers' hand last week. Part of me wants to go with Detroit, man, just because they've been on the cusp. What's his face? Dan Campbell was crying at his post game the other week, and he was like, I see how much work these guys put in, and they've been so close so many times. I'm going with, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going with the Lions. They've come so close so many times. The Bengals are a much better team, but I just think something weird is going to happen in this game. Detroit's going to get their first win, and Dan Campbell's going to cry again with tears of joy in the post-game press conference.
Yeah, you can have fun with that. I'm taking the Bengals. In a fight between Bengals and Lions, the Bengal Tiger is a much bigger.
Oh, that's where you're going with this.
That's where I'm going with this one. They're just a better team.
National Geographic. That's how Dale is picking this game. But no, I agree. The Bengals are a better team. Sometimes I feel like it's
the Lions are going to beat somebody. I just don't see it being this week.
All right, I feel you. So you have the Jaguars, I have the Dolphins. You have the Bengals, I have the Lions. Texans and Colts. Another game we don't care about. I'm going with the Colts. They were close last week. I feel like they won't have to deal with Lamar Jackson just throwing to Marquise Brown this week.
Yeah, I wonder how healthy that secondary is for the Colts, because
true.
They were pulling people out of the stands to play.
Really
they're pulling Ravens fans out of the stands to play in that final game.
That's how they came back.
A couple drives. But yeah, I got to go with the Colts. I mean, I think they'll eat up that defense. My man, Jonathan Taylor, is going to run wild in that game all over your football team.
My football? How are the Texans my football team? When did that?
No, we're playing this week, pal.
Oh,
you're getting your butt kicked this week.
That's right. I'm getting my butt kicked. Listen, I'm missing Russell Wilson and Saquon Barkley. But we still gonna find a way. No. I'm not making no excuses. We still gonna stomp you. Wait. Stomp you into the ground. I guarantee. We coming out here.
My three-headed running back monster. Like nobody's ever had a running back backfield like the one that I have. It's just nobody's. I can count on 80 points ever. I had 200 points last week. You haven't scored 200 points all season.
First of all, you need to chill out. Second of all, who are your running backs again?
That will be Ezekiel Elliott, Jonathan Taylor, and Antonio Gibson. Yeah, let's hear that next week.
That's your unstoppable running back lineup.
That is my unstoppable running back lineup.
Listen,
especially when you pair that with the guys like Mike Williams and DK Metcalf, and
Listen.
You're going down, Carter. Just settle down. What's our next game?
In my one league, I have.
I don't care what you have in your one league. Harris, it only matters what you. It only matters. Josh Jacobs stinks. Josh Jacobs stinks.
That's my Josh Jacobs coming off the bench though. I got Saquon Barkley. I got Chase Claypool.
Saquon Barkley's not playing. Saquon Barkley's like the 30th best running back in the league this year. Like 30th. Oh, I got Debo as well. Yeah, Debo's in the lineup against. Debo's off this week, so you don't have to face him.
I'm trying to actually find where the heck is. Why can't?
What's our next game?
No. You wanted to talk some fantasy smack.
No, let's talk our next game.
No. You can't just.
We'll do the talking next week after I thump you.
You ain't thumping nobody because listen, I gotta pull up. All right, there we go. Here's our.
You've already started with the excuses.
Listen, I'm pointing out. It's not excuses. I'm letting you know.
Excuses.
Listen,
excuses. You know what excuses are like, Chris.
What are excuses like? Please tell me. I have no idea where you're going with this. This is why I love doing this show.
Excuses are like noses. Everybody has one. How about that?
Okay, I thought you were going to say excuses are the tools of incompetence. Lies reason. Live stuff with reason. Anyways, hold on.
Next game.
Overview. No. I'm beating you right now.
Arizona at Cleveland
right now. Don't you? I had to check the score because I had to I don't know what he's talking about.
You're up 9-0, and I haven't had anybody play yet.
It is 10-0. So in your face, sir. Anyways, let's get back. Let's get back to the things. Rams.
Arizona at Cleveland.
No. Rams at Giants. We're all picking the Rams. I'm not even giving you time on that. 2-3 Chiefs at 2-3 Washington. I'm picking the Chiefs. They have to win that game. They just have to.
How's Kansas City allowed to be the Chiefs? And Washington can't be what they used to be.
I mean, Chiefs aren't a slur. The other one.
Okay, there, Chief.
Yeah, but so you can call me Chief, and I'm not like you doggone racist. I'm not gonna say that to you on a Chief. Like Chief is like, hey, you're the head of this tribe. You run this. Like, there's respect there. There's no respect to that other word. But I get that there. I do think some of the headdresses need to stop at Arrowhead, though. I'll say that much. Anyways, back to now we get to the game you were talking about. This is going to be the 4:00 game. I imagine all the Steelers fans watch. 5-0 Cardinals at 3-2 Browns. I'm rocking with the Cardinals. I think the Browns, they've been front runners. Now they got to deal with Kyler Murray. You saw them get diced up by Justin Herbert last week, and now you're facing a defense that can get after the quarterback, that can create some plays. I think the Cardinals handle the Browns and give Baker Mayfield a lot more than he can handle.
This is a tough one because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have not practiced at all this week. They're dealing with injuries. Chandler Jones is out for the Cardinals, as is Rodney Hudson, their center. Mm-hmm. You also saw Kyler Murray struggle last week. He's dealing with a shoulder issue on his throwing shoulder. When he saw when that happened last year, down the stretch, he struggled throwing the football. I don't think the Cardinals are a good enough team to get to 6-0. I'm going with the Browns.
Go with the Browns. Okay, Browns at home. Not a bad pick. I mean, again, they're a competitive team. If their run game gets going in this game, it could be tough for the Cardinals. Let's go to AFC West matchup. 3-2 Raiders at 3-2 Broncos. I think the Raiders have a better roster, but just with all the craziness going around them, I'm going with the Broncos. They're at home, and that's a lot to have on your back dealing with all the John Gruden stuff.
Yeah, they're spending the whole week talking about that instead of preparing for the Broncos. I'm taking the Broncos.
Yeah, same. That's just too tough. 4-1 Cowboys at 2-3 Patriots. I feel like that's a lock pick right there. I'm going with.
How about them Cowboys? Patriots are. People thought the Patriots were going to be good this year.
Yeah,
I would kept telling, like my partner on Steelers Nation Radio, Matt Williamson, kept saying he was much like you on the Bears. He thought that the Patriots were going to be good. I'm like, how did they upgrade? Where did okay, they added 2 tight ends. Big whoop. The receivers they added are
Mac Jones guy.
Yeah, they're bad. They're a bad football team.
They are bad. 4-1 Bills at 3-2 Titans. I'm pretty sure we're both just going to say Bills. Not even a thought there.
This is going to be a rout. Yeah, the Bills are playing some football, man.
And the Titans aren't. They're so bad.
The Titans are not. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was hoping they would be the one team in the AFC South that would be really interesting to watch. They're just not.
It's all Derrick Henry all the time.
It really is.
And their defense is still bad. Like they run him into the. You want to talk about running the wheels off of somebody.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. I'm very interested to see how long he can keep this up at where he's King Henry because he's phenomenal. He's on
pace to break the NFL record for carries.
Jeez.
By 60.
Jeez. That's insane. And
that has nothing to do with a 17-game schedule.
I was to say, by 60, you would still need that's 30 games per game. Like you'd still, if you took one game off there, you'd still be 30 games over the record. Like that's
he could miss 2 games and still set the record for carries.
That's ridiculous. Anyways, the Titans, they're struggling. Bills are going to win Monday night. But now it's the Sunday night football where all the Steelers fans will be watching. 2-3 Seahawks at 2-3 Steelers. Dale, before you give your final score prediction as well as your overall prediction for this game, what do you think is the biggest factor that decides this game?
Can the Steelers keep that offense going? Seattle's defense is allowing 450 yards per game. I expect Seattle having a little extra time to prep for this game, to do some things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't blitzed Jamal Adams quite as much. They've been playing a kind of a cover 2 shell with him.
Yeah.
And that's not his strong point. He's not great in coverage. In fact, he's not even adequate in coverage.
No, he's
so I would expect them to blitz him more. I would expect them to try to run the ball a little bit more to protect the backup quarterback. But I get the Steelers winning this one 24-13.
24-13. I'm going 31-17. I think the Steelers run game, the Seahawks have the second worst rushing defense in the NFL. They have the third worst passing defense in the NFL. I think the Steelers break some big plays in this one. And if Najee Harris gets going this week against a much lesser defense than he did last week, I think you see the Steelers get control in this game. JuJu Smith's going to be asked to do some things he's not comfortable doing, and that allows the Steelers secondary that hasn't had a whole lot of chances to make a whole lot of big plays this year. They're going to make the big plays in this one, and I think they even get a pick 6 or something like that in this game that allows the Steelers to take control early. So both of us have the Seahawks. So if I remember correctly, our splits are you have the Browns, I have.
We're not picking a Monday night game?
We did. Bills Titans.
Oh, that's a Monday night game. Never mind.
Yeah.
That might be when I snooze through.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we all will snooze to that. We'll watch the first half for Josh Allen to throw 5 touchdowns, and then we'll just go to sleep. But Cardinals, I have the Cardinals. You have the Browns. I have the Lions. You have the Bengals.
You picked the Lions.
Yeah, that's the easiest pick ever.
Hey, we both picked a winless team this week.
We both picked a winless team. Though I think your winless team, they at least have Trevor Lawrence. Like something crazy could happen there. And you're right. Urban Meyer's probably celebrating. The cameras aren't on him right now. But there you go. So there's our three games. Dale, thanks for doing this as always. It's a lot of fun. We hope that you had fun listening to us, both trade barbs and trade our picks. We hope that everyone is having a great weekend. We will be keeping you posted. Dale will be at Heinz Field, and everyone covering the Steelers. You want to check out what's going on, what we got here on DKPittsburghSports.com. Be sure to do that, and we'll be back in years next week with more right here on the Lolley-Carter Steelers podcast,
where we're celebrating a big victory by the Lollygaggers.
Oh,